Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager for Manatee Educational Television. If you are one of the many hardworking people in this community that have struggled getting back and forth to work utilizing public transportation, or if you struggle with an unreliable ride that's constantly breaking down, or if you're tired of relying on others to drive you to that job or to that appointment, you will absolutely be blown away by what our guests today have been working on. So before you take that tax return and go out and buy another junker, please sit back and listen to our three guests introduce you to a potential solution to your problem. Today we're very pleased to have with us Sherrod Halliburton, the Executive Vice President of the Manatee Community Federal Credit Union. Sherrod, thank you for coming back. It's such a pleasure to have you on this program. You're such a community leader, and you're in touch with so many things. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And next we have with us Joe Quattrocchi. Joe, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
You did.
it?
Yep.
And you are the Group Sales Manager for Enterprise Car Sales. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we're very pleased to have a business leader in our community here with us today.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
And finally, we have with us Maria Evie. Maria is the Executive Director of Career Edge Funders Collaborative. And for those of you in this community who know what Career Edge does, it's a magnificent organization, and under Maria's leadership has done incredible things for the unemployed in our community. Maria, thank you for being here, and it's really a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Now, Sherrod, this program is a special about a unique program that you've put together with your partners. First of all, tell us a little bit about the Manatee Community Federal Credit Union, and then tell us a little bit about this special program.
Okay, let's start with Manatee Community Federal Credit Union. For most of your viewers, they may be more familiar with Tropicana Credit Union. For over 50 years, Manatee Community was referred to as Tropicana Federal Credit Union. And we served exclusively employees and the family members of those employees at Tropicana. And we're very, very proud of that origination. About 5 years ago, Manatee Community opened up its charter so that it could serve people in the at-large community. You had this wonderful institution in a community that needed these financial services, and our CEO, Cindy Barco, in her wisdom, went to the executives at Tropicana, and we talked about expanding, changing our charter to expand to allow us to serve individuals outside Tropicana. Now, a most significant occurrence that I think really sets the stage as to who we are today and where we're going today is a few years ago, the credit union, in its efforts to serve more people in the community, secured a low-income designation. What that low-income designation means that there was a percentage of members at the credit union that were low income, and because of that, the federal government allowed us to receive that designation. That designation allows us to receive a number of different benefits from the federal government to allow us to serve people in our community a little bit more. Last year, the credit union was certified by the Federal Treasury Department as a community development financial institution. And what that is, it is a very special certification through the federal government that gives our credit union access to millions of dollars through the Treasury Department to expand our lending to any population that has historically been underserved. And I'm really excited and proud of our efforts to move forward and engage those populations, as well as we continue to serve our longstanding members.
Now, we want to go into, not some of the outreach, but some of the programs that you developed under these auspices. But before we do, I want to hear a little bit from Maria about what Career Edge is. And Maria, tell us a little bit about the scope and the initiatives that the Career Edge Funding Cooperative does.
As you know, Career Edge has been around since 2010, and we were very fortunate, our community is very fortunate that we had investors that wanted to invest into our employees in our community. We had investors in a local foundation, the Gulf Coast Community Foundation is one that's very involved with the work that we're doing, but we have a lot of other foundations and county governments that invest in our work. And the scope of our work is we really play the role as the integrator to leverage community assets to bring everybody together to work together as with one common goal is to help the employer achieve having the skilled workers while giving the employees the skills that they need so they're able to learn and better their lives and be able to have a good job.
Now, you've done several different initiatives. The most recent one is for manufacturers, but your first initial thing was in the health field, correct?
Correct. We worked in the healthcare sector. Because we are market driven, we look to see where the needs are, where are there jobs, because we want to put our dollars, since we have investors that invest and they look for ROI, we wanted to invest our dollars where the employees would have the most gains and we would be able to have jobs when they're done with their trainings. Healthcare was very successful. We just finished our 2012 looking at our numbers, and we're like at 1,700 some employees or job seekers that we served. And like you were saying, the last thing that we did was a manufacturing skill gap study. We wanted to look at what are the skills that the manufacturers are really saying that they cannot fill positions because we have a lot of job openings. So the study proved that there are a lot of job openings in our region, and that we needed to bring the trainings and the assets and everybody together to work on a plan to be able to work on the skill gaps for manufacturing.
And you've been very, very successful at that as well. And we're going to come back to a little bit about Career Edge's involvement in a moment. But first of all, Joe, as a business leader at a business, you're here at the table. Everybody's heard of Enterprise. You know, it's the go-to place, for car rental. Tell us a little bit about your business and your operations.
Well, Enterprise Car Sales is a division of Enterprise Holdings along with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And obviously, Rent-A-Car is our biggest business, and everyone is much more familiar with that business than the car sales business. However, we do have 130 plus car sales locations across the country, and we retail nearly 70,000 vehicles per year directly to the public.
Wow.
And we typically get that kind of response when we put those numbers out there. But it's a great business for us because we own these vehicles since they're new. We know the track record of the particular vehicle. Although 70,000 is a large number, it's not even 5% of our overall fleet. So we can take the best of the best vehicles to stock the inventory of these car sales locations, the ones that have a clean history, that we can feel really good passing along to consumers directly from Enterprise.
And that's a good point, because that brings us to the crux of the matter that why we're all here today. And this is about this really fascinating program, an initiative called Reliable Rides. And Sherrod, give us the breakdown. What is Reliable Rides, and why are we here with these great partners today?
I mean, Reliable Rides is exactly what the name indicates. It's about giving hardworking people access to reliable transportation. I was involved with the Career Edge initiative as co-chairman. And as we work to solve a variety of different workforce issues, one issue that reared its head on more than one occasion was the idea of people we were working with were getting new skills and improving their job prospects. However, they were still having challenges getting back and forth to work. And so upon coming over to Manatee Community Federal Credit Union, one of the things that I wanted to do was to work to secure a program that would solve those problems. Having worked with Maria, and she was very supportive of Career Edge participating in this program, and we had the opportunity to develop a partnership with Enterprise Car Sales, with the whole point being moving forward a strategy to help those individuals who are employed and need assistance in securing a car. So this program is about bringing a dealer that's providing quality cars. And for us as the lender, that is so very important. If we're going to provide the financing for an individual purchasing a car, one of the things that is very important for us is to know that those individuals are getting a quality car and getting a quality deal. So we've had the pleasure at Manatee Community to work with a number of different car dealership organizations, and they all bring different things to the table. But very clearly, the model that Enterprise operates under was what really caught our attention. And I know Joe will go into that in greater detail. But what we did with Reliable Rides was to put a program together that basically said to individuals that if they committed to improving their understanding of their financial situation, because we have as a requirement for anyone participating in this program, they must go through a series of financial education classes. And I think it's a total of about 3 hours. And they also must go through an auto maintenance class, which is very simple. It's 90 minutes as well.
And tell us why that's important.
Well, if I'm financing a car, it's important for the person who purchases that car to understand that if the check engine light comes on, you pull that car over. You have to change the oil. If you don't have air in your tire, it can cause other problems. So as a lender, it was very important for us to make sure that the borrowers had access to the information which would allow them to maintain their cars properly. You make the assumption that people know that they need to change their oil, but some people don't. You make the assumption that people know that if there's a gauge on their car that goes off, the answer isn't to put tape over it so you don't see it anymore. And so, part of this whole program for us is to build capacity in people, and by educating them, helping them to improve their credit, helping them to understand how important it is to balance their budget. And with that being said, if the individual is employed, this program is designed to, even if they have challenges with their credit, we can provide them with a reliable ride in order to satisfy their household needs. And this program is designed for low-income families. So there is an income cap, and I think the income cap is about $66,000 for a household of 5. However, we do have what we call Reliable Rides Track 2 that is available for individuals who need access to transportation, are challenged with their credit, are gainfully employed, but make more than the restrictions on this program would allow. We welcome those individuals to contact us, and we can move forward with them as well.
Now, one of my questions, and Maria, I want to direct this towards you, is that, as Career Edge, you were one of the initiators of this program because you saw a need. If you're giving people education opportunities and outreaching, they still need to get from point A to point B. So you saw this need, and how did that come about? How was there a conversation saying public transportation is not going to get you from Manatee to Northport or vice versa? How did that come to be where that partnership developed?
The partnership started to develop when we put together our Bridges to Careers program. We were working with the unemployed individuals. And we received a grant from Microsoft, and I included transportation in there because when the individuals were filling out application, we started to notice that when the question was asked, do you have transportation, most were filling out no. And the bus system, the way that it's working right now, it would take some of them 2 hours to even get to our trainings. So we started to see a trend where a lot of them were having transportation problems. Some of them were carpooling. We had, I will say, we had somebody that came from Palmetto that rode their bike to be able to come to our class. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was that we had a young man that went through our Bridges to Careers program, and he completed it and he was employed. And a couple weeks after being in employment, he came to my office because he was really excited because he wanted to share with me that he bought his first car. And that really resonated with me because I realized the importance of something that all of us may take for granted because we all have cars, that it's really, you know, it's available for everybody, but it really is not. But we were also listening from our employers that one of the biggest reasons for them having high turnover or high the employees not making it to work was it was transportation issues. And they would ask me, is there anything you can do to help our employees with transportation? So that's where Sherrod and I, yes, that's where Sherrod and I started to have this conversation as we're trying to you know, build and give the people some skills so they can go to work. If they can't get there, you know, they're going to just stay home and they're going to finish the classes and we're not going to be able to be placed in jobs. So we recognized that early on because we, you know, we recognized it not only from our employers, but the participants in our classes were really struggling to be able to have the transportation. And we needed to come up with something. How do we eliminate this barrier and how do we help them?
Well, and another interesting point, if I might say so, having that reliable mode of transportation, an immediate mode of transportation, you know, it empowers that person not only for their employment but also for their children's education, to be able to go back and forth to the store, so they don't fall into that, you know, stuck in the neighborhood type of thing. Now, Joe, my question is for you is that, you know, Enterprise has a national, worldwide reputation. It really is critical to have a good mode of transportation. So when you were approached and you came in and you said, Enterprise can fill this bill because we have this wide variety of reliable, trustworthy automobiles that are available.
Correct. When we got together a few months ago to kind of lay the groundwork for this program, that was the question posed to me. And Maria looked very intently at me to hear my answer at that time, because, you know, Maria's organization is going to work very hard to find the right people to opt into this program. And you heard from Sherrod how hard he's going to work and how hard they're going to have the people work in order to qualify for the program and go through the education.
Correct.
And at the end of all this, they can't get a vehicle that lets them down a week later, 3 weeks later, 6 weeks later, as they get excited about this new job, as things start to go well, and then all of a sudden they can't get to the job. And the employer, although satisfied with the employee, can't tolerate an employee that can't get to work.
Exactly.
So it's a critical part of this program that the vehicle component is a solid component. And at Enterprise, our #1 priority is to make sure that it's a good vehicle.
Good.
There's a 109-point certification process that the vehicle goes through. Many of the vehicles, we've owned them since they were new. We can look up the entire history of the vehicle. We do have an internal standard for the vehicle because during their tenure in one of our fleets, anything that goes on with that vehicle is documented from a maintenance standpoint or a damage standpoint. And we have a very strict standard about what can even come into the sales side of it to go through the certification process. And then it has to pass the certification process once it qualifies to even come into the certification process.
So there's a whole set of standards that are internal for Enterprise before that vehicle even becomes into the sales.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a great process, because one of the things that I've seen, and Sherrod and Joe, if you can comment on this, is a lot of car sales, especially for lower income, or there's some predatory practices, and you hear horror stories all the time. But if you have an individual that's completed one of Maria's classes, they have a great opportunity at a new place, that confidence has to be there, that vehicle, the availability of getting the vehicle, and that vehicle is going to let them go to a better life, to better opportunities. So it's great to hear that that certification process is already in place before the vehicle even goes out the door.
Yeah. And if I may expand on that, it doesn't stop at the certification process. Enterprise does not sell any vehicles as is. Every vehicle that we sell has a warranty.
Yeah. Every
vehicle that we sell has the opportunity to have an extended warranty put on it. In addition to the warranty that comes with it. The satisfaction doesn't stop when they drive off the lot. We want it. We want them to be completely satisfied the entire time they own the vehicle until such time as they're ready to trade that vehicle in on another one. And then we'd like to help them find the next one as well.
So you're kind of building a customer for life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ray, did you want to mention something?
I wanted to add, because I have to agree with Joe, that is one of the things that we do here, is that they get a job and they're excited and they're going to go buy a car, and they go buy a $600-800 car at a buy here, pay here. And it does not take long before the car has issues, and that's the trend with the employers. Like it's good for 2-3 weeks, and then the car breaks down, and then what happens is they don't have the money to make the repairs to that car, and the employee has to quit their job because they can't afford it, and of course, and then they have the challenge of having to pay back whatever they paid for that car at that time. So that's a challenge we hear about.
And that's very important. And I want to get to you, Sherrod, if I may, because at the credit union, I mean, it's very important. And Manatee Community Federal Credit Union has a wonderful reputation of kind of community outreach. I mean, this is a very vital program. It touches people where it's most important in their mobility to be able to move on. Why did you want to get involved in this type of outreach?
As Maria and I both referenced, my introduction to the need for this program came even before I started working at Manatee Community. I was executive director of the Bradenton Central CRA. I was co-chairman of the Career Edge Initiative. I was focused on solving people's transportation problems. I happened to be a board member on Manatee Community Federal Credit Union at the same time, and after looking at a few different programs, I was able to introduce this concept to our current CEO. Well, it just so happened the credit union made an offer for me to come over and serve as an executive. First as executive vice president, I elevate to CEO in July, and it just appeared to be the appropriate set of circumstances. Here we were trying to solve a transportation issue, and then I found myself as an executive at a financial institution that could bring this whole situation full circle. We experienced, I probably had been working at the credit union for less than 30 days, and we experienced a situation with one of our longtime members purchased a car somewhere else, and the individual had that car financed at the dealership. And what happens when you have when you purchase a car at the dealership and you have it financed at the dealership, especially if you have challenged credit, you're almost guaranteed to pay more than what the car is worth. Okay, then you have to deal with the financing, and generally the financing is excessive, and they have very restrictive terms. You miss a payment, we come get the car, or you have to pay weekly. And this individual entered into a deal that was not a good deal. Drove the car home within a week, and I think he spent about $12,000 on the car. Within a week, the engine blew up. He calls them and talks to them, hey, I just bought this car, the engine blew up. Their response was, did you see that little as-is tag on the windshield? And you bought the car as is, and good luck. And it was just a devastating situation because this individual was still on the hook for the $12,000 that he had borrowed. And his car, now he'd have to spend another $2,500, which he did not have, in order to get the engine repaired. And you know, it was that really kind of put gasoline on the fire for me, if you will, and that we have to do something about this. You know, I've participated in a national talk show where radio talk show where I give advice on purchasing a car. And so here I am giving advice to people on how to purchase and finance a car, but yet I have people walking into our financial institution that are experiencing some of those things that I'm trying to guard against. So we doubled down, and you know, I called Murray and said, hey, we have to make this happen. I'm really going to push at the credit union side for us to make a go of this. And shortly after joining the credit union, we had the opportunity to make acquaintance of Joe and his team, and they were the answer because they provided through their programs these reliable rides. And something that Joe didn't mention that I think is just incredible and which sealed the deal for me was they have a repurchase program. And the repurchase program means that if someone purchases a car, they have 7 days, 1,000 miles. If they decide that this car does not work for them, then Enterprise commits to buy that car back from them. And I think there's a restocking fee or something to that effect. But what that told me was that Enterprise stood by that car. If you're willing to allow someone to drive a car for 7 days, allow someone to accumulate up to 1,000 miles, and then take that car back, you're sitting back knowing that they bought a really good car. If you had any doubt about that, there's no way that you would have a policy that allowed people to do that. And I think
it's really indicative, too, of the quality and the character of a company to be able to do that. This seems like a win-win-win situation here. I mean, for individuals that are coming out of Maria's program, for the financial institution, it all looks like a win situation. How do people, I want to hear a little bit about this, how do people qualify for this thing? I mean, someone in Maria's class, they've got an opportunity to go down to work in Sarasota or Northport, and they're saying, there's no way to get there. There's no way, how do I do it? How do they approach you, and what are the next steps for them?
Well, up until now, as we were designing the program, you know, we're very apprehensive about just really announcing the program to the at-large community. We really felt that with Career Edge is working with individuals who we know are employed, who we know are making strides to improve their life. So we felt that it really made sense for us to try and work out any kinks with this program, you know, in working with Career Edge. And now that we feel very comfortable about where the program is, and Career Edge is now introducing the opportunity to the employers that it works with. They're introducing the opportunity to some of his partners. We've had the benefit of meeting with one of his partners who work with people who are going through training programs or who are low-income individuals who are trying to improve their situation, or even people who work at any of those organizations. You know, we're just really excited about where the program is. And now we feel that there are so many other people in this community.
Right. I mean, the door is open. You're not just limiting it to this. You're saying that this opportunity and this program is available throughout this community for people to take advantage of.
Yes, and they can contact us one of two ways. We have a page off our website, and the address is ManateeReliableRides.com.
We're going to put that up on the screen, your information. So what is it,
ManateeReliableRides.com. And the individual can go to that page, and they'll be able to determine if they qualify. Also, they can contact us at the credit union at 748-7704, extension 106. But I will say, even if you go to that page, and if you don't income qualify, contact us anyway. We have a variety of different programs that we can put you in. So whether you make a lot of money and are credit challenged, we can help you. Whether you make a little money and you have fantastic credit, we can help you, or anything in between. And so with these partnerships that we've put in place, as well as the access to significant resources for lending, at today's date, the credit union has at its disposal probably about $14 million that we have available for lending, with the majority of the money that we make available for automobiles. So I'm basically in the business of trying to give money away to help people solve their problems. And it's a wonderful place to be in. But let's be very clear. You know, we have expectations of people coming in this program. This is not a giveaway. You know, we're not seeking to enter into agreements with individuals that people are not prepared to honor. Now, if you are credit challenged, one of the things that you have to do is you have to submit to the credit programming, as I mentioned to you before.
Where there's a specific classes where
Yes.
where people can learn how to budget, and you know, you can talk about specific areas that they need are of concern to them to help them understand their financial obligations.
Absolutely, and what we anticipate the byproduct of this to be is, once we truly educate you on how to manage your budget, once we truly educate you on how to improve your credit, we're going to give you access to purchase a car, which if you agree to pay, well, if you honor the terms and you pay as agreed, what you'll find is that your credit will improve. And what we've committed to at the credit union is that if you come in and honor the terms of your agreement with us, well, we have other monies that we can make available for you. You may need a credit card. You may need a small loan because, you know, your kid got sick or something like that. So we want to help you to regain your life. You know, I think it's important for people to have the honor and dignity of being able to take care of themselves. And so we're not in the business of giveaways. We're in the business of helping people build their own personal financial capacity.
Yeah, but also at the same time, you're giving people an opportunity, you know, to move in a direction that can be fulfilling and rewarding. Now, Joe's a national corporation, you know, an enterprise is known throughout the world. I said, this has got to be a very important partnership for you.
It absolutely is. You know, Enterprise was founded in 1957 in the basement of a Cadillac dealership. And the reason that the company was founded was based in customer service. Our founder and the family that still owns Enterprise saw a need for the customers to have alternate transportation while their vehicle was being worked on, and that it made them unhappy that they didn't have alternate transportation and had to sit and wait for their vehicle to be ready. And that idea, based in customer service and making people happy, led to the expansion of what is now a very, very well-respected international company.
Tremendously successful. Tremendously successful.
And you know, our role in this particular endeavor is to make sure that the end product of, you know, I'm so impressed by the work that Maria and her organization are doing to help people advance their life and get to a better place. And the ingenuity and the outside-of-the-box thinking that Sherrod and Manatee Community Federal Credit Union to put this program in place. I mean, from a lending perspective, it's very easy to look at a beacon score and say yes, a beacon score and say no. But there's a lot more to it. And as Sherrod mentioned, it's not charity. What Maria is doing is not charity. She's not giving people something. She's helping them. If they're willing to go after an opportunity, she's helping them achieve that opportunity. Sherrod's not giving away money, but he's offering people the opportunity to borrow money if they're willing to go through it. To do all of that hard work and then have the car let them down, have the car let the lender down, have the car let Maria down after she worked so hard to get someone a job and the training they need to get a job, that's not acceptable. The car has to be a good car. It's Enterprise is standing behind the fact that it's going to be a good car. I'm standing behind the fact that it's going to be a good car.
And that's the end product too. Is that if there's somebody in an individual that's out there, they find the responsibility and the obligation to work with Sherrod, and then the end product is when they get into that vehicle and drive away and they go to work or pick their kids up. It's got to be such a rewarding thing. Maria, I've got a quick question for you. Are there any other national fund sites that are involved in this type of thing, or partnerships with any that, or is this unique for here at Manatee County that are working on a transportation oriented goal?
There are 32 sites across the United States of the National Fund sites, and there are some other sites that are participating in a program probably similar to this, because I think that this is not, our region's not the only one that has these transportation problems across the United States, and they are. And just as of recent, probably in the last 4 or 5 months, we got a survey from the National Fund asking us, as a collaborative, are you experiencing in your region transportation issues for the people that we're training and that we're investing in and trying to better their lives? And I'm sure that they got overwhelmingly responses to it, because we have it here and we can't be the only ones that have this issue, but yes.
Well, you've got a great partnership here to work with. Now, as we're kind of winding down a little bit, I want to spend a couple of moments, Sherrod. Partnerships. You're all about that. You're a community-oriented person, and throughout this community, Sarasota and Manatee, you've been known as developing long-term, effective partnerships. With people like Joe and Maria, that's a great team that you have together. But there's other partners that you want to get involved with. Are there other, not take anything away from Enterprise, but are there other car dealers that you'll be working with? Are there other organizations that you're outreaching to?
Well, in regards to reliable rides, I can say definitively there's only one car dealership that we feel comfortable working with this program, and that is Enterprise. We welcome any community partners. We had the pleasure of meeting with Goodwill a little over a week ago. And with Goodwill, they have a number of employees that might benefit from this program. The case managers, I asked the question, do they deal with any clients that they feel need access to reliable rides? And I think there were about 30, 35 caseworkers in the room, and 35 hands went up. I mean, I welcome community organizations who encounter people who may need access to transportation. I say give us a call. If you're an employer and you've encountered any instances of your employees having challenges getting back and forth to work, I say tell them to give us a call. So we're looking for partnerships, whether it be employers, whether it be community-based organizations, or if there's just an individual who has a need. As always, I open the door to work with as many organizations as possible with this program.
And I think too, one of the things in this area, there's a wealth of universities, University of South Florida, State College, New College. I mean, I can see, perhaps, somebody taking advantage, a lot of the students taking advantage of this program as well. Would that be possible?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things we're doing for organizations, and it's not something that's been formalized, but we are researching through our regulatory body. We're regulated by the National Credit Union Association. We're looking at an affinity program that will allow us to make charitable donations back to these community-based organizations that refer their clients and their members back to us to take advantage of this program. Our commitment is, we want to serve people in this community, but we also want to support those community organizations that also join us, in our efforts.
I think that's well said. So we're kind of winding down here a little bit, and I want to take a moment with each one of you to talk about, what this program means to you. I mean, as a business leader and an executive director, what does this program mean, and what would you like to see this program do? And Joe, we'll start with you.
Well, to me, it means an opportunity to reach some people that maybe we weren't reaching before, and help them achieve something that maybe they thought that they couldn't achieve before, and then move forward with them as they advance themselves, and maybe this time through the Reliable Rides program, they get reliable transportation. But as they move forward in their career and their credit standing improves, maybe the next time, rather than getting reliable transportation, they can get the vehicle that they've always dreamed of.
Excellent.
And Enterprise will be there to help them with that as well. We have no shortage of vehicles. We have no shortage of selection or diversity. And as you mentioned earlier, turning them into a customer for life is important. Turning them into a completely satisfied customer for life is more important.
Joe, I've got to tell you, when you're talking about the certification process and the warranty process and that kind of level of corporate commitment to that, it's very impressive. And a lot of companies don't offer that or offer some variation. And you're to be applauded, and your entire organization to be applauded for that kind of scope of customer satisfaction.
Well, I appreciate you saying so, and that's really, comes straight from our founder, Jack Taylor, and his granddaughter, Chrissy Taylor, runs the car sales division for Enterprise nationwide, and that is a very clear message from her that it's always going to be a good car.
Well, that's a job well done.
Thank you.
Now, Maria, you're probably one of the busiest women in Manatee County. You have so many things going on, and you're completely dedicated to making Career Edge just a viable part of this community. So what's next for you, first of all? What do you see on the horizon for Career Edge?
Career Edge is in the process of building a replication model. We're going to replicate and expand throughout the state of Florida.
That's wonderful news, and they couldn't have picked a better model than here in Manatee County with you as their leader. So that's a big step, though. That's a huge thing. I mean, I'm sure that communities in Jacksonville and Orlando and Miami are very impressed with what's happening here under your leadership.
And Tampa.
And Tampa. So there's a lot to do this. So what would you like the community to know about this Reliable Rides program?
From the Career Edge's perspective and our investors, our goal is to better people's lives. And, we work really hard to invest in people so they can feel better about themselves and they have self-worth. And a lot of times, they get let down in life. And they don't believe that if they work hard, there's a payback or there's a success at the end, because they've been let down so many times. And one of the things that I think makes us most excited about this partnership is that Career Edge is known for working with top-notch, organizations that get things done.
And individuals.
And I have to say, I mean, the team that Sherrard, and the credit union has put together here, I really believe will get us where we need to be. So for us, what this program means is that it's going to feel good to know that not only did somebody get that degree or get that certification, and now they can feed their family, but they have a reliable car to be able to get there, and just that good feeling that I think that the individual will have.
And again, Maria, congratulations on all of the great things that you've done with Career Edge. And we look forward to the next session where you can tell us a little bit more, perhaps about that national model for Career Edge. And finally, Sherrod, you couldn't ask for two better individuals here to be involved with. And again, you're to be congratulated. And the entire Manatee Community Federal Credit Union for their foresight in developing this program for outreach into this community. What do you want the community to know? What do you think is briefly that vital thing that this community should know about Reliable Rides?
Well, I'm going to diverge from that just for a brief second. I mean, I think it's important for me to acknowledge our CEO, Cindy Barco, and what she's meant to this community and the asset that she's left in my hands. I mentioned the idea with CDFI. There's only 3 credit unions in this entire state that has that designation. So on a personal level, I'm really challenged to live up to the standards that she's set previously. I had a meeting with a young lady who I worked with previously when I ran a redevelopment agency. And her comment to me was, okay, you're moving from running a redevelopment agency to basically being a banker. What was that all about? And as we continued our business and she heard my passion and my strategy and my plan, and we talked about reliable rides in particular for her, she stopped me and said, I get it. I understand that connection for you. And so on a personal level, for people to understand that, there are lending institutions that will take an approach that you're more than just a loan, and to play a role, even if it's a small role, in that type of lending institution is an honor for me, and I'm going to work really hard to show this community that it's in all of our benefit, the work that's being done at Manatee Community. And this is a wonderful program, Reliable Rides.
And it really is. And we would like to invite you all back, maybe some future day, and we can hear some of the success stories of this program and how it's working. Maria, thank you so much for joining us, and again, congratulations on everything you've done with Career Edge. Thank you, Joe, for joining us, and we'll look forward to hearing more about what Reliable Rides and Enterprise is doing. And Sherrod, finally, thank you for being here. And we welcome you to come back as your host of Community Matters, to come back, and we want to talk about some of the other features and outreach that you're doing and the credit union is doing in the future. I'd love to do a program on tax preparation, which is it's tax season coming up. It's tax season, let's do it. And I think it's very important for people to understand all the services that you have available that are out there to be helped.
Definitely.
And I want to thank all of our guests today for joining us, and I want to thank you for joining us on this very special edition of Up Close on METV.